look at our surrounding. We're always in it. If there is pathogens in the air, if there's viruses in the air, we don't see it. It's completely invisible. In fact, majority of the people spend 90 to maybe even 95% of their time inside. It's in our furniture, it's in the carpet, it's in the cleaning products. When there's high humidity, it's a breathing ground for viruses. But they are airborne and they tend to stay in the air for very long periods of time, waiting for someone to say be attached or waiting for something to be attached to. So these are the 5 things you should really look into when it comes to measuring your indoor air quality.
Air is something we all breathe. It's something that we need to be able to live, and according to the World Health Organization, indoor and outdoor air pollution is the most urgent environmental health crisis in the world. We want to highlight some of the dangers and the importance of air purification, and to do that we need to speak with a specialist. Today we are pleased to be able to sit down with Chloe, a specialist in air quality at iTeam Global. Her understanding of the importance of air quality and what facilities could be doing to combat what is a global crisis is second to none, and she can't wait to help more facilities understand this topic. So let us begin. I'm Jasper McEwen and this is a Healthy Facilities Review. Great to be with you today, Chloe, at the iTeam Centre in Eindhoven. So I wanted to catch up with you today to discuss the importance of air purification and monitoring air quality, something the World Health Organization has highlighted as a key factor and actually an environmental crisis. So let's kickstart our session today just to understand a bit more around the insight into air quality and what people can be doing
about it.
Thanks
for having me, first of all. And why is indoor air quality important? For one, look at our surrounding. We're always in it. In fact, majority of the people spend 90 to maybe even 95% of their time inside. Little children are, instead of playing outdoors, they're spending inside, where they're only spending about 60 minutes a day outside. We live, we breathe, we are doing everything in this bubble, somewhat of an artificial environment that we live in. And while modern technology and things have making these environments a little bit better for us, but it's insulated. Like with the modern technology, windows are now being closed and there's no longer clean air being circulated in and out. What highlighted maybe perhaps with the WHO is the reason COVID, right? Everyone has made a little more aware of airborne particles, pathogens and viruses that are surviving on the inside. So I think that could perhaps is one of the things that's really heightened this topic in the recent years.
No, it's super important because, like you say, it's an incredible stat that we are in indoor environments so much more.
Right.
And it's very important to understand. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean to say it's not there, does it? That's the problem with it, isn't it?
I think that's one of the biggest issue is that, in the cleaning industry, we're so used to cleaning something. If there's dirt on the floor, we're going to vacuum it up. But if there is pathogens in the air, if there's viruses in the air, we don't see it. It's completely invisible. And that is why it's a bit important for facilities to have, for a starter, measuring tool. Maybe if it's our iSense, that's part of the iTeam product, or any monitoring system, but you want to make sure that you are monitoring some of the very specific topics that is related to indoor air quality. And then from those numbers, your customers' actual figures, then we can figure out how can we improve this air quality, whether it's something simple as opening up a window or maybe introducing a air purification system. But you definitely need to understand what is being needed at first.
Yeah. No, that's really good. So ultimately, we need to, for a facility that's looking to improve their air quality indoors, they have to first understand what they need to be removing or cleaning.
Exactly, or even in which space. Maybe not every room is necessarily say the dangerous areas. Maybe it's just rooms where it's highly concentrated with workers or people. And that could all comes back to maybe improving the productivity level of the people, being a little bit more alert. Of course, in the mornings, we all have a little bit more energy than in the afternoons, around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Or these are times that you should open up a window. Not all spaces are equipped with windows or maybe a door to open. They could be very well deep inside of a building, especially say something that is industrial. Then in those areas, you should look into applying other tools.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there are things that people can do, isn't there, just to initiate this better air. That there's indoor plants as well, isn't there? You can start to make progress just by having a structured, window opening session in the afternoon. Or you can have indoor plants. You can then look at other alternatives like the eye air that you've got behind you, which helps to reduce the key problems, doesn't it? Tell us a little bit more around the different types of
the key factors.
Pollutants.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. CO2. First of all, I don't know if your camera is able to see this little wheel behind us, but one of the things it's measuring is the CO2 level. When there is high concentration of people, such as children or in a workspace, or even you and I currently speaking, we are releasing a lot more CO2 into the air. Now, a little bit of CO2 exists in every space,
everywhere,
right? A certain amount is absolutely normal. But when it becomes too high, or say the CO2 level is higher than the fresh air, the oxygen level in the room, that is when we start to get very tired. Maybe we start to sneeze, starts to cough. So it becomes very unhealthy, and that is measures should be taken. And then another factor would be, say, a particulate matter, or otherwise known as PM level. Now, PM could exist in any form. It could be invisible or visible to the eye. It could be something like a piece of hair or dust particles that we could clean up, or something that is so fine that it's similar to, say, a virus or a bacteria, but they are airborne and they tend to stay in the air for very long periods of time, waiting for someone to, say, be attached, or waiting for something to be attached to. So that is one you should definitely be more alert of. And then you have the factors of VOCs. They're commonly known as, or people would say, this VOC level is much higher inside than outside. And why is that? It's because they come from item we use every day. It's in the paint that is in our furniture. It's in our furniture. It's in the carpet. It's in the cleaning products that we are used to, that gives us this feeling of something is clean, but it exists in all these common household items. Therefore, the level of when we are using increases. Here, I actually have a can of something I hope we use every day. It's deodorant. And the moment you spray this, you cannot see anything. It becomes airborne. It's clear. However, you could see the measuring tools will start to spike to kind of show you that, hey, the level of VOC has increased. And it's becoming unhealthy. And then some of the factors that we are living in every day, but that is not a direct factor, would be, say, the humidity and the temperature level. And maybe you already know this, but when there's high humidity, it's a breeding ground for viruses to survive so much longer. Mold in moist areas tend to grow a little bit faster when the humidity level is very high. Also, with temperature, they kind of go side by side. So these are, the 5 things you should really look into when it comes to measuring your indoor air quality.
So that's CO2.
Yes. VOC.
VOC.
Yeah, the PM.
PM, which is the dust level.
Yep.
Humidity and temperature.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's really, really useful. And I think the challenge with that, we touched on it earlier, but the challenge with those, well, certainly 3 of those, is that they just sort of become more apparent throughout the day, don't they?
Right.
They just start to eat away, don't they? So you got more a damper air, the temperature starts rising, and CO2 starts rising just because there may be more people in the office and that kind of thing. And over the space of 4 or 5 hours, they
Yeah,
can just
like
creep
during
up on us, can't they?
meetings or
Exactly.
conversations in the school, perhaps when the teacher is giving lectures.
Yeah.
It also grows very high when the students are coming maybe from the playground area
Inside.
back inside.
Yeah.
They're breathing heavily. If you are in a household, maybe pets,
Yeah.
a variety of driven factors.
Yeah. So some of those factors we can't actually do anything about, isn't there? As
No.
in terms of the, look at a classroom environment, we
Yeah.
wouldn't exactly tell the lecturer to be quiet because of the CO2's
No,
the CO2's
of
rising.
course
But there are proactive measures which we can put in place, and that's where the air quality monitoring system,
Right.
then backed up with proactive measures like the iAir and that air quality machines and air scrubbers
Yeah.
to counter that and bring that down. Is that right?
Right. My suggestion is always to bring an air monitor device in there. So bring an iSense in there, leave it at your customers' facilities, and allow it to measure in several different spaces. And we have a thing called iLink, which is giving you real lifetime data of these facilities. It's monitoring the same thing the iSense is monitoring. They're completely connected. Allow them to see, what time of the day. Maybe it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Maybe it's 11 to 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Then you have this idea of when you should take certain measures. Once you find out the time frame, you can, one, open up a window or introduce fresh plants. Those are always great alternatives.
Yeah.
But if you are dealing with a severe case where it needs a little bit of help, that's when I would definitely introduce the iAir. With the iAir, not only are we capturing all three of the main factors, such as the PM, the VOCs, and the CO2s, we are actually breaking them down into the system and allowing the DNA structures to completely break down, so it's not going to reproduce itself. And then the very final stage is a very high HEPA 14 filter that filters all of the remaining residues as well as anything else that may have escaped the previous chamber before fresh air is being pushed out. In a room, for example, such as a classroom, around 50 square meters, we could produce about 4 air changes. So that is completely changing the air 4 times within an hour into a space. Yeah. So it's definitely a really good option to have in those spaces where windows are
non-existent
or plants is harder to introduce.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. No, well, thank you very much for your time today.
No problem.
Chloe.
Thank you.
It's been great to have this conversation about air quality and just hopefully bring some more
awareness
insight and awareness into the importance of it and what people and facilities can actually be doing to start making it better.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's always about the people that is living inside these spaces.
Exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Chloe.
Thanks.